Hello everyone, Mariko Berg, residential realtor with the Bridgewell Real Estate Group, and welcome back to the Bridgewell Group YouTube channel where I talk about all things real estate. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about strata fees, everything that you need to know about strata fees put very simply. And so I'm going to go through who pays the strata fees, when the strata fees are paid, whether or not your strata fees can go up and if you should reasonably expect that, what the strata fees actually go to pay, like how the relationship of the strata fees work with things like the contingency or the operating budget, and an actual example so that you can understand it mathematically. So why don't we just get into it? So starting off with what are strata fees, you will also hear people talk about strata fees as maintenance fees, and both of these terms are synonymous with each other. So obviously it's related to strata type properties, so think condos and townhouses. And this fee is something that is paid by all of the owners of the strata individually relative to their unit entitlement. So you're going to be paying this on the first of every month generally, unless otherwise stipulated in your strata. And as I said, it's paid by each of the owners individually. So when I'm talking about unit entitlement, what that means, or this term, is essentially relative to how big your unit is to the entire strata. So for example, a 1-bedroom condo is going to have a lower unit entitlement than a 2-bedroom condo that's bigger in size. And then all of those individual unit entitlements, all of those individual owners, is going to equate to the total unit entitlement, which is the total, say, square footage of the entire strata. So that's how strata fees are calculated. So next I want to get into what your strata fees are made up of. So essentially what your strata fees are paying. So behind me on the board here, you can see the strata fees are going to two things. Essentially, your strata fees are split up into paying the annual operating budget of the strata. So this is something that is going to be determined annually at the annual general meeting, the AGM, by the strata, and they're going to show the costs that are associated with the strata as a whole that the owners need to pay for based on their unit entitlement. So think like roof maintenance, maybe the gas bill, electricity for common property, things like that, right? Then the other portion is going to the contingency reserve fund. So this is the strata's savings account, put very generally, for bigger capital cost projects. So think, for example, planning for a roof, planning for plumbing, planning for things like that, anything like bigger capital cost projects. So the way that I always like to explain how your strata fees are made up is very similar to probably how you deal with your own income. So you have a certain amount of income that's coming in, and then a portion of that income is going towards paying your life expenses, your operating budget, kind of your day-to-day things. And then the other portion is going towards your savings account. This is what you could see as the contingency reserve fund. So a common question that I get asked is if someone can expect strata fees to go up. And generally the answer is going to be yes, you can expect them to at least maintain, if not go up over time, because of the nature of this relationship, which I'll explain in a little bit more detail. I have seen strata fees go down, but it's generally really uncommon, and you're going to understand why in a minute. So again, the relationship between strata fees is it's paying the annual operating budget and the contingency reserve fund. So the cost of the strata to survive on an annual basis and the savings of the strata, right? So essentially, if you have inflation in general in the market, right? And any of these costs go up. If the cost of roof maintenance goes up, if the cost of property management goes up, if the cost of electricity goes up, then you can expect this operating budget to increase, right? Unless there is a subsequent decrease. So for example, maybe property management goes up, but the landscaping bill goes down. So those lines are essentially accounting where they balance it and then determine whether or not the operating budget is increasing, roughly staying the same, or decreasing. So you can see that if your annual operating budget is increasing and your strata fees pay this annual operating budget, then you can expect your strata fees to increase. Rational, right? Now, if you look at the contingency reserve fund, right? Do I need to increase my savings? Is my building getting older? Do I have bigger capital cost projects coming up? If the answer is yes, then that means that I need to increase this contingency reserve fund, which again are paid by the strata fees, so I can reasonably expect the strata fees to increase. So as the building gets older, you're generally going to have more contingency reserve fund needs. You're probably going to see the strata fees be higher than a newer building for that reason, right? And you're not typically seeing people decrease their amount of savings. But again, it could be that for a particular year, if they want to maintain the cost of strata fees and say the annual operating budget is going up, the strata might make a financial decision to potentially decrease the contingency reserve fund contribution for that particular year if it makes sense. So should you expect strata fees to increase? Generally, if you're expecting things to get more expensive, aka inflation, and you're expecting the building to get older, aka you need more savings for these capital cost projects, then yes, you can expect the strata fees to increase. But it doesn't mean that the strata and the owners can't necessarily assess these lines and figure out how to weigh it so that you could have a maintained strata fee for any given year, or you could potentially see a decrease. So when can your strata fees change? Essentially, the strata fees that you're paying, as I said before, are going to be due on the 1st of every month, and then you're going to have a set payment every single month, the same fixed payment for a year. Now, your strata fees can change when the strata and the owners have a majority vote that approves the annual budget for the year that coincides with a potential strata fee increase, right? So again, if one of these lines is going up and overall the strata says we need to raise fees 9%, that could happen on an annual basis. Maybe the next year it's 2%, maybe the next year after that it stays the same. So this is getting assessed annually by the stratas, but the owners have to vote and they have to approve this. It's not like the strata can just go rogue and just do it themselves, okay? So this is something that needs to be happening in an annual general meeting, and that's why as an owner it's very important for you to attend those annual general meetings when they come along. So essentially, once the strata and owners approve the annual budget, you can expect that maintenance fee to go up. Whatever allocated amount, you're going to have to pay that new amount on that first date, and any retroactive fees that apply. Just to tie all of this together for you, I'm going to do a really simple calculation to show unit entitlement and how this could all kind of play out in real life. So let's say that there are 2 units, so unit 1 and unit 2, and they are exactly the same, okay? Exact same square footage, exact same everything, really, really simple. That means that for 100% of the total fees, the total budget, total contingency reserve fund contribution, each unit is just going to very simply pay 50%, okay? So let's say that the total strata fees collected is $1,000. What does that mean? Half and half, $500, $500. That's what each person's strata fees would be, right? And then, as I said, that $1,000 total strata fee would then be allocated into a portion going to the operating budget and then a portion going to the contingency reserve fund. So let's say, for example, that this splits out into $800 going to the budget to pay off the needs of the strata, and then $200 goes to the contingency reserve fund every single month, okay? Now, we can take this situation a little bit differently if we wanted to, right? Let's say, for example, that it's not exactly equal, right? So you still need to get to 100%, you still need to get to $1,000, but let's now say that unit 1 had a bigger unit, and it was 75%, and this is 25% in terms of your unit entitlement. Okay, so now that means that unit 1 has to pay 75% of that $1,000, so $750, right? And this one pays $250 because they're 25%, right? And then that same $1,000, it could be the same budget. $800 goes to the operating budget and $200 goes to the contingency reserve fund. So no matter what these numbers are, essentially you could have 5 units, you could have 10 units, you could have whatever they are. It needs to total 100%, right? Everybody pays their portion of the total strata fees, the total operating budget, the total contingency reserve fund contribution based on this unit entitlement. So the smaller units pay less, the bigger units pay more. Thank you so much for watching this video on strata fees, and I hope that it helped you get a better understanding of how everything works and what to expect. If you are looking for a realtor to guide you through the buying process, myself and my team are more than happy to help you if you're looking in the Greater Vancouver or Fraser Valley areas, which are our markets. Definitely feel free to reach out if you are looking for a realtor to help you buy or sell. If you like this video, definitely make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below if you want to see videos like this in the future, and make sure to subscribe for other videos and knowledge on real estate in general. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.